We have, right this minute, God's joy in our blood. It pulsates through us. There's no one here, truly, that has more joy than anyone else. We all have the same joy that pulsates through us. It's just some of us experience it more because we call on joy more. Joy and pleasure get mixed up. Joy is an inward experience, an inspired happiness that we choose. It's something that we make a choice. I love this quote from Ernest Holmes. Joy is the emotion ignited by an expectancy of good. When we truly believe in the heart of our hearts and the soul of our souls that life is good, no matter what, it holds lots of different things, and they come to us to learn and to grow and to appreciate, and they're here for us, that life is for us, not against us, is when we can truly call on joy, because joy is a choice. It's in us, but it just doesn't just happen to us. We have to make the choice. You know, if we talk about this a lot, that part of us is in heaven. That's our higher self, our greater self, our greater good. Part of us is up there that's not touched by questions, confusions, chaos, all that. But part of us is on this dense earth. Our human physical side is here. And it's our human side that often chooses to put a chokehold on this flow of goodness that's in our blood. And the thing that happens to us, this chokehold, happens when we choose fear or doubt. Or here's what Mark Nepo says. He says, he has a book called Reduced to Joy. And his reducing to joy means we take away the things that keep us separate from our good, separate from God, separate from love, separate from the things that keep us aligned with Spirit, the presence of God. And he says, what keeps us from joy is the menacing assumption. What do assumptions do? You decide. Assumptions that life is happening other than where we are. When we think, life is happening in the past or in the future or out there, it separates us. We make that assumption that it's somewhere else. And he says, we're always running, leaving, or running to or running from or leaving right here. And I would say it's because we haven't reconciled or made peace with what's happened in ourself. If you think about, there is a child within each of us, a little child that knows spontaneous joy. Have you been around kids? I was. All weekend. I'm trying to, am I going to remember? But where's Kirk? Our joy tank is so filled. I think there's something about being a grandparent. And, you know, I separated my life when I was younger was so much about kids all the time, both at work and at home. And then in life experiences, that changed. But we're getting to watch a little 1-year-old, just turned 1 this month, and she walked. She took her steps, and we were there to experience it. And we could see the joy in her face, and also the responsibility it took and the courage it takes to live that joy. She got up, and Deanna's on the couch, and Brooke and I are sitting on the floor, and Naya was over with Brooke and looked at her other mom and said, I think I want what you have. And and we were all holding our breath. She hadn't walked, maybe a step, and she walked all the way over. Then we broke out in this yay, and you could just see her so excited. And that joy, that kid joy is in us. We get that, but we got to work at it. That kid joy is in us, but unfortunately, negative experiences we have when we're young in our mind, the only thing that keeps us separate from that heavenly goodness flowing through us, that joy and everything else, is our belief, our thoughts, that we think or believe that it's not good, that we're not good, that there's something wrong. And with those negative feelings and thinking and beliefs, we stuff that spontaneous joy down and we forget that it's there. So I want you to think about joy being a practice. It's something we practice and call on. Teilhard de Chardin, a 20th century French priest who focused on, and I love this, love at the heart of the universe. That's what his teaching was about. Love is at the heart of the universe. So if we can claim that and know it, that it's what there is. That's what Jesus taught. That's what the mystics taught, that love is the core of life. That's where it is. But he said, the infallible sign of the presence of God is joy. It's joy. You know, if we can understand that that joy is there, but it takes focus, discipline, and deliberate choice to keep it on the forefront of our life. Now, reconnecting, and this is another mistake we get into. Our minds think, oh, well, if I choose joy, then everything's going to be perfect, right? Yeah, everything's going to work out just the way I want. That's when I'm joyful. But choosing joy does not mean that everything works out perfectly. It doesn't mean there's not grief and betrayal and anger, because those are part of the human paradox, part of the duality of our life. It's when we can make peace with those things, when we can reconcile, this is Reconciliation Sunday, when we can reconcile those experiences and find beneath the pain the joy that wants to bubble up. And I think we all have that right now. We have a time in our life where we need to really separate the pain so the joy can bubble up. The Bible tells us weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. You know, this woman, and we did a month on her, I believe, or a month on the mystics, Julian of Norwich. And she was a Norwich, whatever. Lack of sleep. Anyway, babies. She said that, well, first of all, her situation in the 14th century, she was in England at the time of the Black Death, the plague, the pandemic throughout Europe, which killed 50% of the people. And here's her quote: the fullness of joy is to be able to hold God, to see God in everything, behold God in everything. The fullness of joy is when we can do that, when we can know, when we have the faith to know beyond all of the exterior, how will I say, am I allowed to say crap? Okay, good. I just have to edit sometimes in my mind, but that's going on out there. So we know that there's something good being born right here where we are. If she can do that, if she can get out there she had death and darkness all around her, yet she could hold the truth and see the goodness in everything. I think of the people on our wall. Nelson Mandela was imprisoned for 27 years. Yet he could rise and find the good to become the first Black president of South Africa. He could find good in that experience. And I was reading, Mother Teresa describes joy as God, as prayer, as love, as all of that. But she, in her life, she felt the call to be a missionary of charity, which meant she would go out and care for the poorest of the poor. Can you imagine? And in India, the poorest of the poor is way, way bigger than we know here. And she would go out and she would be there for people. And she said, she shares in her book a story of, she was in London and she was walking down the streets, and she said she saw a man that was all doubled over. You could tell he was very, very lonely. And she felt he was feeling like a throwaway. That's the word she used. That made me sad, a throwaway. She said she went over and she simply took his hand, held his hand and said, "How are you?" And he said, oh, it's been so long since I felt the human touch, the warmth of a human hand. so long. She said he looked up and his face was filled with joy. That a simple human touch could send the message that he mattered. There was someone there that cared about him. And we can do that, right? We can do the small things. Like Mother Teresa said, we can't do, all of us do great things, but we can do small things with great love. And a touch. A touch. You know, I can't remember how many it is, but I read about that it takes 6 hugs a day to make somebody really fill up, you know, with the feeling of love and joy and goodness. Now, right now, my joy tank is really full. And what happens when your joy tank is full is you can handle problems, you can handle difficult situations, you can handle worldly things that happen that are horrific, and you can handle them better than when your joy tank is empty. So I want us to really work on practicing joy. Make it a practice, a choice that we do. It would begin in the morning when you get up, and this is your morning intention, and you ask yourself, even before you're out of your bed, if you can, before your coffee. I don't know if that always works. Depends on how the day is going or how you slept. But if you ask yourself, what's my intention? What do I want for myself, for others, and for the world today? Simple. Just what is it I want? And remember the strength of our intentions. Our intentions are powerful little bursts of energy that we send out there to prepare the way for us. So what is my intention this morning? For myself, for others, and for the world. You decide. And the other one is a morning meditation. Now I'd like you to say these after me because they're affirmations that work for you. I got this from Ernest Holmes' book, This Thing Called You, but I like them a lot. I surrender all doubt and fear today. Feel it. Feel it, because you got to feel it. You know, if not, you're just flapping lips. You got to feel that. I surrender all doubt and fear today. I let go of uncertainty. I let go of uncertainty. I mean, when you know that if you dig down to that place, that going deep, that Tina's going to help us, if you dig down there, you will at least have the next step. You don't have the whole outline for everything that's going on in your life, but you have the next step if you go there and listen. I know there is no confusion or lack of confidence or lack of confidence or lack of confidence. I just felt you might need that one today, okay? I don't know why. I know that joy is mine. I accept the gift of life for myself and for everyone else. You know, it's not enough to just pray for yourself. You have to, what you want for yourself, the goodness you want for yourself, the peace, the joy, the abundance, the love, whatever it is, we need to want it for everyone. And that's the way we reconcile things in this world, in our lives, in our mind. And then you end the day with gratitude and forgiveness. That's the way it goes. Now today's our prayer wall Sunday, where we have our ministers and practitioners form a wall of prayer here, where they take a minute before they get up. They feel that connection to the place within. And I think you remembered when our practitioner panel was up here. Remember they were up here talking about the prayer wall and how we're here to they're here to know the truth for us. Beyond any of that doubt, assumptions, whatever it is, to know the truth. So I want you today, not to tell a whole story, not any of that, but what is it right now that would bring more harmony and peace to your life? You can let go of judgment, you can let go of fear, or you can accept confidence or love, but keep it simple. A little kiss for our ministers and practitioners. So would you come up, please, and leave a little space between you? And as we close, as our practitioners and ministers are finishing up in the prayer wall today, just simply know with me in this moment, as we release our own individual prayers into this dome of God's goodness, we know right here, right now, we are surrounded by a presence of love and goodness and forgiveness and joy and infinite possibility. It resides within us. And in this moment, we feel that opening, the place within us that opens to the greater good that wants to express in, through, and as each and every one of us, knowing that we are needed, we are here on purpose, that we have a joy in us that's being called to be shared, that we have that now, and we allow it to be expressed in and through as us. As we move through our day, we feel that power and presence of God and goodness bringing to us exactly what we need, bringing a greater awareness, making sense of different experiences and emotions in our life, that we can see through the emotions to that joy and goodness and the presence of God that is always there within us, around us, and through us. And in this moment, as we claim that goodness, as we feel it and hold it, we not only feel it and know it for ourselves, but we know that joy and goodness for each person here. We feel it, we see it, and we see it as it's ignited throughout our community, throughout our country, and it surrounds this beautiful world in which we live with the light of God's infinite, all giving, all loving, all forgiving, and all knowing Spirit. How good it is to know this. We say thank you, God, for this great knowing, for this wonderful community that supports us. We release this prayer to the infinite mind that knows only to say yes. And so it is. Thank you so much for being part of a beautiful community that's bringing more love and goodness to the world. We are blessed. We are blessed.